I try to avoid looking at the odds before I break down a fight, but I was looking at the odds for a different fight, and the odds for this fight came up, and I was like, and I started salivating because I got really excited. I'm just gonna say it straight out. I think that Loma Lookboonme may be one of the best bets, if not the best bet on this card. So I think her nickname, first of all, should be Boom Boom, Loma Boom Boom Lookboonme. I think it's, makes sense. I know Tai Tuivasa says Bam Bam, but this would be, I think it just makes perfect sense. She's an absolute beast. Actually, she just put up recently a video on Instagram. She throws 30 kicks in a row. It's incredible. A lot of Muay Thai professionals, you'll see them. They'll throw like 50 kicks in a row, and they're all going to be super powerful and on point and perfect technique. So, in the past, she did have a strength and size disadvantage, but I see her lifting weights for strength now, and she's gotten a lot stronger. I'm actually surprised she didn't throw as many leg kicks her last fight. Perhaps she's afraid of the takedown, but she loves that teep. She loves the knees. And sometimes she sets up that head kick. I think it almost landed last fight. So she trains out of Tiger Muay Thai, which is an amazing camp. Piotr Yan is there, Rafael Fiziev. Another interesting thing about Loma is she's the first Thai fighter on the roster, which is kind of incredible considering how many great Thai fighters there are and how amazing they are, and how important Muay Thai is to mixed martial arts. I also think that her being the first Thai fighter, it puts the country on her shoulders. And the great Teddy Atlas talks about this, but when you come from a place where you have that has a lot of culture, and it's almost like it almost gives you the superpower to fight for your people. Similar to like Manny Pacquiao or Canelo, but I really think that's the case for Loma. I think that she's fighting for her country, which I love. I think it's incredible. Now, I don't want to be biased, so let me just say a few things about Lupita Godinez. So I like her. She's a tough, scrappy chick. The betting community seems to really love her. We're gonna go through some of her fights, and I remember some of the odds that they had on her. So she almost beat a woman with a 20-pound weight advantage. The reason I say that, when she fought Luana Carolina, she weighed in at, I think it was 121 and a half or 120 and a half. I think it was 121 and a half. And Carolina weighed in at either 125 or 26. But what that really means is she's like 140 the day of the fight. And I mean, you could see the giant advantage. And she almost won that fight, which is insane because of the fact that she's a grappling-based fighter. So although I think she was, I do remember she was winning the striking exchanges against Jessica Penn. And this is especially important because as many of you know, in striking the weight doesn't matter as much, but in grappling it does. So you can see a lot of fighters with huge strength like Ngannou and size and and athleticism. They could just stop the takedowns. You could really see how powerful they are. So it's be very difficult for like an accomplished wrestler like Habib to take down Ngannou. I mean, obviously it seems kind of obvious, but it's pretty. But in striking, it doesn't really matter as much. Sometimes sometimes being lighter can even help. You be quicker, better cardio. I mean, you see that in boxing, like people like Canelo can go up and win many different weight class titles. Like look at Roy Jones when he beat John Ruiz at heavyweight. Mind you, they did gain some muscle for it, but still, the size difference between John Ruiz and Roy Jones was substantial. And you look at Adesanya, the guy can win kickboxing fights at heavyweight. And when you saw him against Blachowicz, it was pretty even on the striking. I mean, I think also a lot of people don't give, only recently started giving Jan credit for his kickboxing. But you can see how close it was, and maybe slight edge for Adesanya. But then when Blachowicz started, when he took him down, you could see the difference in strength and size. And when you look at like when someone's equally sized, look at Glover did to Jan Blachowicz. I mean, you could argue that if Israel Adesanya was the same size as Jan, it's possible Jan doesn't get the takedowns and Israel Adesanya wins. So just keep that in mind. So now let's go over to their fights. So Lupita, her most recent fight was a loss against Luana Carolina, a close decision loss. Nevertheless, a decision loss. But she did dare to be great. She took a fight on short notice against a much bigger girl. The shortest turnaround in UFC history, I believe, was 8 days. But she tried her best. It was close, but she lost. Looking back, maybe maybe she could have try to focus on maybe like punching one out a little more rather than going for that submission at the end that she missed. I mean, but again, you could go back in time and try to change one thing or another thing. She did a pretty good job considering how much bigger Luana is, and Luana's getting better. I mean, she kind of looks awkward, and sometimes it kind of seems she's not the best fighter. I have bet against her before, and I have bet for her because I've seen improvement out of her. There is a gigantic size and height difference and reach difference. She beat Silvana Gomez Juarez. I actually didn't get a chance to see that fight, but I did see the Jessica Penne against Lupita Godinez fight, and she was like a massive favorite. I think like minus 300 against Jessica Penne, and I don't remember if I threw money on Jessica Penne or not, but I remember either way I was looking at that fight because I'm like, hey, I think Jessica Penne is a really good bet. And of course, she pulls through the close decision. I think Lupita was kind of like was hurting her a little bit on the feet, though, if I'm remembering that fight correctly. Loma's a very exciting prospect. She beat Sam Hughes, who's a tough chick. I like Sam Hughes' Superman punch. I think a lot of people look down on Sam Hughes, but she's really tough and she's a game opponent. She beat Jinyu Fry, who's also a game opponent that a lot of people might not show as much respect to. And she lost her first fight to Angela Hill. Actually, an interesting thing is I remember I had put money on Loma against Angela Hill, and she lost that. And then I bet on Jinyu Fry against Loma, and I lost that too. So I ended up, it's funny. I was wrong in both directions. But yeah, I mean, Angela Hill is an amazing fighter. I think again, she doesn't get as much credit. I mean, I think only the elite beat her. And Loma put a pretty damn good fight up. She put up a pretty damn good fight against Angela in their first fight, and I think she had problems with the takedowns, but she's getting better and better and better. I mean, I think went to full-time MMA only in 2017. Before that, she was pre-2017 she was just training Muay Thai. What's interesting too is I'm looking at Loma, and her actual name is Sufisara Konlak, which is interesting. The kind of makes sense. Because Loma Lookboonme sounds a little bit like kind of like a fight name, but she also, it says in boxing she has fought under the names Kanda Pormuak and Kanda Koki Jim. So they've those interesting Thai names, but yeah, and she's Loma's young. She's 25 years old versus, let's see how old Lupita is. Lupita. She's 28. So, I mean, they're both young. I mean, Loma has potential for more and more growth because 28, you're starting at 28 to maybe at 30. Lupita's going to hit her prime, but Loma has a lot more. So, the rate of improvement is just going to keep getting better and better and better. So, the reason I noticed this fight is I wasn't even sure if I was going to do a breakdown of it, but I saw that Loma is at plus 140, and I'm like, listen, I think that getting Loma, in most cases at dog odds is a win. And I honestly really favor Loma here. I do like Lupita, but it seems like the betting public really loves her. Again, I do think she's really good. She's clearly very fit. You see her on her Instagram. She does all these cool track workouts, does all these jumping, plyometric type workouts. But I think Loma has that beautiful technique. I think she's going to eat her up on the feet with those teeps. Although I notice Loma has much better kicks than hands. I mean, it's kind of known for like Thai people, but still, I think she eats her up with those kicks. And I think Lupita may try to out-grapple Loma, but her takedown defense is game, and she has the nasty clinch game. And so far, she's been passing the test. Everyone's been going after her for the takedown. So takedown defense getting better and better and better. She's constantly improving. I think 100% it's worth getting Loma Lookboonme. You know, I would venture to say I would grab Loma as high as maybe minus 150, and she's plus 140. So it's pretty. I think it's pretty awesome odds. Again, you know, I do have a ton of respect for Lupita. Again, you know, she's a tough Mexican fighter. She has that Mexican spirit. You know, never gives up on herself. Has a heart, and I do think she's very skilled. But I just, you know, that just what I'm trying to say is it's not a knock on Lupita in any way. It's just props to Loma. I think Loma is really good. I'm excited to see her. You know, it's funny. I've been wrong on both directions on her before, but you know, so far I've been. I think on the last fight, I think I had bet Loma by decision against Sam Hughes. So that was a nice bet. So I think I finally got the measuring stick right for Loma. So you know, take that advice. I would advise, you know, go for it. I think it's worth the risk putting some money on Loma. And hope you enjoyed this breakdown. Please like and subscribe, and I'll be putting out more content soon. Thanks.